Yeah. And thanks for joining. Actually, I think you might be already aware of these topics exactly. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I just joined to see like how it goes and how the learning goes. But like we learn
okay.
from everyone, right? Maybe
Yes, yes,
something
obviously.
new I can get it from this. That's why.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. No. Even I think Gursimran was asking me for.
Ah, okay, for Lucknow.
Yeah, I spoke with him. I need to send the details to him. Yeah.
Ah, that's good then.
Yeah, waiting. Actually, I have to share the details. Then he can maybe coordinate. Actually, let's
Yep.
see.
No worries.
Yeah.
Take
Hi,
it easy.
Rajesh. Good morning.
Yeah, hi
Hey,
Mahesh. Good morning. Good morning to
hey,
all.
hi Abhishek. I think you are next like meetup is on November 12th, right? It's a Mulesoft plus AI.
Yeah, so that's a mega meetup. That is also something I want to talk. So
Okay.
I'm just waiting more people to come. So we are going to have a mega meetup on 12th, which is virtual, 8
Mm-hmm.
p.m. IST. And Akshata is going to take that session where in that session we are going to talk about Agent Force. And you will be having a hands-on in that where you will get a org for 5 days. Also, 5 random attendees can get a Mulesoft exam voucher as well.
Oh, okay.
What was the
It's
last
good.
statement, Abhishek?
5 random people can get a Mulesoft voucher, exam voucher.
Why
Any
five,
5 people
five
can get.
random people? We are already five here.
No, it need to be there.
Okay. Okay.
That will be attended by I think so many
Literally.
people actually, as it is a complete new topic, right? Exactly.
Yeah, Agent Force is something a new like it's been in the top for so many days or so many months. Like in Dream Force, it was also again everything was Agent Force. So to give a more idea about how what is Copilot or what is Agent Force and how you can interact your MuleSoft API with Agent Force. So that's what hands-on capability will be there. Uh, Although I have also taken some session in past regarding Copilot interacting with MuleSoft. So I think everyone should join because you are also getting an org for 5 day, right? That is something like where you can do your other POCs. And in the chat, I have shared the LinkedIn post what I did. In that, you'll get all the details like what we're going to do.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So, Abhishek, whatever the link you have shared, that is about the coming meetup.
Yeah, that's about the 12th meetup. What I'm talking, the mega meetup.
Okay.
So nine MuleSoft groups are co-hosting this event. So they are coming
Okay.
together and they are co-hosting. So nine. So this is that's why this is a big group. So far we have got a lot of RSVP, but we are expecting more people to join.
So we can learn like how Mulesoft interact with the AI from the scratch onwards, right?
Yes,
So
how you create like how you create a name credential or external services in Salesforce, and how you enable the Copilot for MuleSoft APIs, like how
okay.
that goes hand in hand. So all those
Oh,
capabilities will be there.
then that's a great. Yeah,
Yeah,
I am also eagerly waiting for that one.
yeah. Then you should definitely RSVP that one.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you, Abhishek.
Yep. No worries.
Rajesh.
Yeah, Mahesh. Shall we start?
Yes, yes, yeah. I think
Yeah, yeah. Thank
I
you.
think even Abhishek, once you start, right, I think Abhishek can announce the details of the program actually, like what he's talking about and what will. I think Abhishek, you can take a few minutes and then please let us know what is going to happen in the meetup there. So it would be helpful and people will be more interested to join that session exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure, Abhishek.
sure. Whenever you say, I can start that. No
Yeah.
worries.
Shall I share the screen?
Yeah, you can share, Mahesh. So first we will start our session, or what? Abhishek will go ahead
No,
first.
no. Actually, just will. I think we can ask Abhishek. Abhishek, you start the session. Okay, what the session is about exactly, and
Mhm.
then we'll take over and we'll take about the topic because it will
Okay.
be good. Yeah,
Okay.
if you,
So
yeah, your time also will be saved there. Yeah,
yeah. So maybe you want me to talk about it right now again?
yeah, yeah. It's
Okay.
better because now at least we have almost like some people, right?
Yeah. Good people. Okay.
And even in the end of the session, we'll announce the same. If there are so many, some other people joining in between, we'll inform them as well.
All right. That will be great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, at the end of the session, we will update everyone. We will
yeah.
remind them.
Yep. Definitely. Maybe like if you are sharing your screen, Mahesh,
Yeah,
if you, the link which I shared, can you bring that up? The LinkedIn link. Will it be possible for you to bring that up?
yeah, I'll do that.
The first link. Maybe if you can open that in the browser.
Yeah, I'll open it.
Okay. Sure. Okay. Uh, so first of all, welcome everyone to the meetup. I will just take few minutes. So Mulesoft is coming up with a mega meetup that is on 12th of November, 8 p.m. IST. So this is a hands-on activity where what we are going to say in this is we are going to know about Agent Force. Okay, the Agent Force essentials. We will know how Agent Force Copilot can connect with MuleSoft and interact with MuleSoft API. There you will see how you create name credentials, how you create external services, how you create the flows, and then how you enable the agent action, and then how you create the agents. Okay, so that everything will be there in detailed. You will get you'll get a org for 5 day. Okay, a running org which having Einstein capabilities in that. You will get it for 5 days. So if you want to use that for any POC for that 5 days, you can do that. You will get the details. Everything will be there, and it will be virtual. So hands-on things will be done. It is for 1.5 hour, and random 5 people can get a MuleSoft exam voucher as well, where you can use that to take any exam you want. Okay, I have shared the link in the chat as well as the description, and Mahesh is already showing that on his screen. Thank you so much, Mahesh, for taking that up. So I recommend every one of you should join that meetup. That will be very helpful to you give an idea like what is Agent Force. Okay, so that's all from my end, Mahesh. If you want to add something or anyone want to add something,
Yeah,
please.
obviously, it's obviously mostly the technologies are being used actually like along with the AI, right? Obviously,
Right.
it is going to be a very good event. Obviously, it's so much of learning. Obviously, so I encourage everyone to join. Even I already registered myself, and I'm going to join for sure. Okay. Even I encourage the other people to join this event and make it successful. And thanks, Abhishek, for getting these kind of events conducted. Exactly. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Mahesh.
Yeah. Fine.
Over to you again. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Rajesh, you can start if you want, or I can pitch in. I think
Yeah, no problem. I'll start. Okay,
you'll
we
start.
can start the meeting. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Will not take much time in introduction and all. Already,
Yeah, yeah, no
yeah,
problem.
we have
Okay.
completed 10
Okay,
minutes,
okay.
right?
I'll just quickly introduce myself.
Yes,
I'll
yes.
hardly take 2 minutes for everything.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so again, good morning to all. Hope everyone is doing well and great. So my name is Rajesh. I'm working as a Mulesoft developer at TCS from last 4 years. I have total 4 years of experience that is in Mulesoft. So I worked in BFSI projects. So that's all about me. Coming to the meetup today, we are going to discuss OAuth 2.0 implementation using Mulesoft application. So earlier we completed part 1. So now we are discussing about implementation of part 2. So first of all, we are going to discuss about overview of part 1, and we will start the implementation. Over to you, Mahesh.
Yeah, thanks, Rajesh. Coming to me, actually, even I'm working as a integration lead at Edge Technologies, actually. Okay, and I'm 2x MuleSoft certified and 3x Workito certified. Even Workito is another integration platform, which is more into the process automation exactly. But I'm as a MuleSoft professional, I always tell like I'm always inclined towards MuleSoft because it can handle complex integration projects. And coming to my experience, I have worked in various domains like banking and financial, retail, insurance, different domains exactly. Currently, I'm working as an integration lead at Ash Technologies exactly. Okay. Now, we'll just I'll set the agenda first for today, and then later on I'll take you to the important topics exactly. See, already in the part 1, right, we have covered these parts. I think till this part actually. Till this part, it is covered. Okay, what is OAuth? What are the different terminologies in OAuth? And the 3 types of grant types exactly, like authorization code grant type, client credentials grant type, resource owner password grant type. What is the importance of each grant type? And we have taken a use case and seen the number of steps involved in that particular process exactly. Okay, today I just wanted to introduce a policy which is already available in Mulesoft actually. Okay, that is JWT validation policy. We will understand what is JWT validation policy and what is the importance of it, and then we'll see the practical implementation and the steps involved in implementing that particular policy exactly. And we, as part of this particular process, will be using Auth0 as the authorization service provider. Okay, and before diving into the actual JWT validation policy and the implementation, I'll just give you a overview about all the terminologies or the previous session what we have done exactly. Okay, fine. Now, see, as already we know, right, OAuth 2.0 stands for Open Authorization, and it is authorization framework, not an authentication protocol. Already we know that the difference between authorization and authentication is nothing but obviously validating the user's identity who is going to access a particular resource exactly, and authorization is nothing but providing the delegated or the restricted access to that particular user exactly. Okay, there is a lot of difference, and OpenID will be taking care of that authentication, and OAuth will handle only authorization process. With the combination of these two, obviously the complete process will be taken care of, the validating the user identity as well as the giving the restricted access to a particular resource exactly. So it's very important, both of them should go together, because without OAuth, again, OpenID will not be a proper, only OpenID will not do the entire purpose. So it is very important to go hand in hand. That is one important thing which we need to take care of exactly. And we have seen the different grant types exactly, authorization code grant type, again, understanding the terminologies of OAuth exactly, what is resource owner, resource server, client authorization server, authorization code, different tokens exactly, what is access token, what is refresh token, when it will be useful. All these terminologies we have gone through in the previous session. If actually, like, the time permits, who doesn't attend the first session, right, after finishing this particular session, please go through that particular session and you will understand in very detail. We have discussed it in very detail and explained each and every term, because it is very important to understand these terminologies to go ahead and learn about today's topics. If you don't understand the terminologies and all, right, it is very difficult to understand the today's topic. So at least try to understand the terminologies first after going back, and then again watch the second part, so that it will be very helpful. Okay, we discussed what is scope, what is OAuth actors, what is the OAuth dance and OAuth flow, what is authentication, authorization, grant, redirect URI. All these terminologies have been discussed in detail in the previous session. And we have seen the steps involved in the total process as well. What is that authorization code granted? What are the different steps and flow involved in that particular process, and when to go for authorization code grant type and when to go for client credentials grant type. All these have been discussed in detail there. Today, actually, what we are going to do, we are going to discuss the client credentials grant type and the implementation of that particular client credentials grant type using JWT. Exactly. Okay. So I'll discuss what is this client credentials grant type. See, whenever, for example, like I have already created an account with Zomato and I want to place some order with the on Domino's. Exactly. For example, like I accessed the Zomato application and I wanted to order a pizza on Domino's. Okay. Now what happens is like obviously the user will take the user interface of Zomato. He will go there and he'll try to order the pizza. And once the request goes to the Zomato server, what Zomato server will do, already it has been registered with Domino's, right? Domino's authorization server. Obviously, we have the authorization server and the resource server. Authorization server is nothing but which handles the tokens part, and resource server where our APIs are hosted. Okay, so already once the request has been placed to the Zomato server, what Zomato server will do? Zomato server has been already registered with the Domino's authorization server for accessing the APIs of Domino's. Now Zomato will send the request for token first, actually. Okay, along with the client credentials. You'll have client ID and client secret, and the token endpoint will be exposed by authorization server to Zomato. And with the help of that endpoint, it will try to send the client ID and client secret and the related scopes and ask the authorization server to generate the token. Now, what happens? The authorization server of Domino's will generate the access token, and that access token will be provided to Zomato server. And now Zomato server is ready to access the resource of that particular API, whatever the API. Now, what is the API it has to access? It is a get pizza types. Exactly. Even see, pizza types may have different endpoints, like different points. Exactly. For example, like get is there, post is there. If I want to create a new pizza, obviously Zomato will not be able to do that. Only get permission is available for Zomato, not the post, put, or patch, or whatever the other methods are part of that particular pizza types. Only Zomato is allowed to access the get pizza types. Why? Because Zomato doesn't require that permission. That restricted access is taken care by this particular OAuth process. Exactly. Now, along with the access token, this get pizza types request will be sent to the resource server, and the resource server, what it will try to do, it will try to send the token to the authorization server, because it has to be validated, right? See whether the resource server has taken the has got the proper token or the valid token. It has to verify, right? It doesn't have the information. Now what the resource server of Domino's will do, resource server will send the request to, again, Domino's authorization server for validating the token. Now authorization server already, for this particular client, it will save the token in the backend, maybe in a database or whatever the mechanism has been followed, and that token will be validated. If it is a valid token, it will give the valid response to the resource server. Then only the resource server will take the request further for processing. Now it will fetch the pizza types, and the pizza types will be given back to Zomato server, and Zomato server will display it to the user. Exactly. Okay. This way the communication happens. For example, like Zomato web server has sent the token, and if it is not a valid token, what happens? This authorization server will reject that request, and it will say that the token is not a valid token, and automatically it will not proceed for the further processing. It will reject at the validation level itself, and 401 unauthorized issue will be generated for the, or it will be responded back to the Zomato server. So it's very, very important. Without this validation step, it is not possible to go ahead. Exactly. Okay. See, we got the token, we are validating it, and then only we are processing the request, actual request, and passing the response to the client. This is the client credentials grant type. And when do we go for client credentials grant type? Whenever we wanted to go for a server to server communication. For example, like here, if you see the Zomato server is communicating with the Domino's server. So it's very important, like while selecting the this grant type, right? It's very important to understand that in this particular scenario, we're going for client credentials grant type because the communication is happening between server to server or mission to mission. So we have chosen the client credentials grant type. Okay, whenever even that is discussed exactly, like for example, if you wanted in what instance you have to select which grant type, for example, like authorization code grant type, what are the use cases for that, client credentials grant type, what is the use case, and resource owner password, what is the grant type, that is discussed in the earlier session. Please go through that. Now we wanted to see why JWT policy is required exactly. Okay, see, if you observe this particular series of steps involved in this process, this is the first step, and then getting the access token is the second step, and triggering the or invoking the resource server API is the third step along with the access token, and resource server is again invoking authorization server with the help of some validate access token endpoint exactly, and it sends the token. This is the fourth step, and after validating, it will return the pizza types to the Zomato server. These are the 5 steps involved in the process exactly. Okay, now in this process, if you observe, for example, like Zomato is a very big platform, and it will have multiple maybe lakhs and crores of users exactly, and see to a situation where for example, like in this particular instance, you have almost like a lakh requests per day. Okay, 1 lakh requests are being processed by these two platforms, Zomato and Domino's exactly. Now what happens, Zomato has to generate the token 1 lakh times, okay, and then get that token, okay, and then it has to send the token to the resource server, and 1 lakh times it has to validate the token, and then it will give the response to the Zomato. The Domino's resource server will give the respective response to the Zomato application exactly. But see, if you see there are 5 steps which has to be taken care so many times. So it is very important to understand. We have to reduce that to less number of times. Okay, for example, in this process for generating the token, if the token is valid for example like 1 hour, what happens, for the same 1 hour, Zomato no need to generate a new token. It can use the same token for 1 hour. For example, like take it as 1 lakh requests per day, and for 1 hour it received almost like 1 lakh 10,000 requests. For example, in that 10,000 requests, it can use the same token, okay, for that particular 1 hour, and it can store in the cache, and it can use that token, and it can send it to resource server. Okay, it means that this first step and second step, okay, can be eliminated for almost like 10,000 requests, but in that particular 1 hour. Okay, that is already taken care. Now if you see here, the resource server is receiving the token, and it doesn't have any facility to validate that particular token. No other option, it has to send that token to the authorization server for getting it validated. Okay, if it is not doing that, obviously any token can be accepted, and that is not a right way, right? So it is very important to validate the access token without the help of authorization server. This validate access token step will not be performed. So now this has been taken care, and it is okay. But what about this, all for all 10,000 requests, or all for all 1 lakh requests, it has to go through this particular process itself. It means that 1 lakh time this resource server has to communicate with the authorization server. If there is a mechanism which can reduce that particular burden, okay, then it will be very good, right? Then the JWT validation policy comes into picture. Okay, what this JWT validation policy will do, actually it will have it will provide the resource server itself a mechanism to take care of this validation. No need to send every time the request to authorization server. It will try to validate at the resource server itself, and then it will check whether the token is valid. If the token is valid, then it will give the response. See, for example, like I told 1 lakh requests, this 1 lakh requests button has been reduced. So it will reduce the response time as well. And if there are any network glitches, that will be taken care already. because you're not trying to communicate again with the authorization server every time exactly. Okay, but there is some communication required that will be very ignorable, like it's very less number of times exactly. Okay, so JWT validation policy, what it will do, it will try to reduce the step of validation between authorization server and resource server, which is taken care for validating the access token. That particular step can be eliminated. It is more intelligent than the regular OAuth policy. This JWT validation policy will take care of that. Yeah. Any questions so far?
Mahesh, it's named as JWT, like JSON Web Token. So what is means? Are we using full-fledged JSON over here for
Yes, yes.
token?
I'll come to that particular part actually.
Okay,
Like what is JWT, how it looks, what are the components of JWT
yeah,
token and all. I'll come into
that would be
that
fine.
line within a few minutes.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mahesh,
Yes, yes, please.
Uh, yeah. So while generating the token from authorization server, right?
Okay.
So the same token it will validate, JWT will validate the same token, right?
Hmm.
So authorization server will generate the token based on the JWT policy, or it will use any headers and combine with the payload, and it will combine the token. How
Yeah,
authorization
yeah.
server
See,
will?
JWT token will consist of three parts. One, I'll come to that particular part. Obviously, header, payload, and the signature. Okay,
Right, right.
that,
Yeah, yeah.
that consists of
So
three parts,
uh,
and obviously, that three parts will be passed on to the Zomato's server, and Zomato server will pass the same information to resource server of Domino's.
right, yeah. So authorization server is the responsibility to send the signature part and everything, right?
Yes,
Same
yes.
same signature has to be validated in the resource through resource server.
Yes, yes, yeah. Now
Oh,
this JWT policy will have that facility to validate the signature of the incoming request. Okay.
okay, okay, got it,
Now
got it.
what
Yeah,
happens when this resource server itself has the capability to validate that particular signature? What happens? This particular step can be eliminated. Now it
yeah,
saves
yeah,
a lot of
got it.
time, right? Yeah, that's what.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it reduces the time process. Yeah,
Yeah. And already
thank
for this particular generating the token, we have that mechanism because, for example, like if I say it is the token is valid for 1 hour, Zomato server no need to generate token for every request. It can save the same
right, right,
token in the
yeah,
cache for almost like 1 hour
right,
or
right,
2 hours for the respective time, and then that burden is already reduced. That is taken care in
right,
work
right,
process itself. Exactly.
right,
Okay.
right.
But
Yes,
in JWT
this
validation policy, this is the extra step which is taken care.
right. This call is irrespective of the user or order pizzas. Zomato will take care of the backend based on the schedule or anything based on the hourly basis. It will call the authorization server and get the token and store it somewhere cache as a temporary 1 or 2 hours. It depends on our requirement.
Yes, yes, yeah. Yeah. And because see, here user is independent, like Mahesh orders, no
Right.
problem. Yeah, Rajesh orders, no
Exactly.
problem. So if some other person orders, no problem. Actually, irrespective of
Yes,
because
yes.
it is a server to server communication, right? Zomato will send the request to Domino's exactly because
Right, right. Yeah, yes, yes.
pizza types will be same for each and every user. There is no dependency of user here.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah. Rajesh, any questions in the chat?
No, Mahesh, there is no any
Yeah,
questions.
yeah.
I'm
If
observing
no
that.
questions, I'll proceed further.
Yeah, I'm observing. There is no any question.
No, okay, okay, yeah. See, we have just discussed like why JWT validation policy is required already. Now, understanding we are the terminology always coming here is like JWT. What is that? JWT stands for JSON Web Token. Okay, it stands for JSON Web Token. Why it is called JSON Web Token? Because it consists of multiple JSON objects here. If you see, okay, and what does it consist of? It consists of self-contained JSON object, so it is called as JSON Web Token. It consists of three parts: header, payload, and signature. Okay, what does header consist of? Header consists of the data, like what is the algorithm used for generating the signature, what is the type of token generated, that kind of information will be available in header. And in payload, the token and what is the subject, what is the issuer name, or what is the expiry time, Okay, all these details will be available. The main important information will be available in the payload. Okay, and the signature part. This is also one of the important things exactly. Like what does a signature consist of exactly? Like with the help of payload and the key, the source who is generating the token, right? Exactly. Okay, that will form the signature, and that signature will be part of your token as well. For example, like if I wanted to see a sample JWT token, I can go to jwt.io. There is a website called, I think I have already opened it. Here, if I go down, see here. See, normally what happens is it will be in the encoded URL base64 format exactly. URL encoded base64 format, and it is in the form of alphanumeric characters and separated by dots. If you see, there are two dots. This is header. Red part is header. This purple part is payload, and the third blue part is signature. These are the three parts, and each part is JSON object, if you see here. Okay, so it is a combination of, it's a string which consists of alphanumeric characters, and it is separated by dots exactly, and it is base 64 encoded. And if I place the encoded token here, I can see everyone can see the decoded one. If you see what is the algorithm, what is the type, HS256 is there, and the payload, if you see, you can see the payload here, and you can see the signature also. Okay, signature is a combination of, it is generated with the help of a key as well as the payload. Exactly. This is a dummy one. Whenever we generate our token, right, at that point of time, we'll place it here and see what is the respective information we can find. We can find other details as well here. Fine. Now, see, for implementing this, already Mulesoft has provided the policy in the API manager along with other policies. So many policies are available, right? Even JWT validation policy is part of that particular policies itself. Now, what we will try to do, we'll try to start implementing this. And what is the authorization server we are going to use? Auth0 is the authorization server. See, there are so many authorization service providers like Okta, and even there are Amazon provided services exactly. But famous ones are Okta and Auth0. I am going to use Auth0 as the authorization service provider for our implementation. Okay, fine. I'll go to endpoint platform first. For demoing, actually, I have already implemented one application and deployed it to the runtime manager. Okay, fine. Now, see, I just wanted to apply a JWT policy on top of this particular application. Okay, this is a simple system API. Generally, this JWT policy should be applied. It's not a mandatory rule. There are certain organizations which will be utilizing for internal communication as well, exactly. But if we are given the choice, like to which applications this has to be given, I suggest to go for experience APIs, because experience APIs are the ones which will be exposed to the outside world, and the more security is required for the experience APIs. And for internal communication, I have seen certain organizations from experience API to process API and process API to system API as well. They are using OAuth policy because of some certain standards required for security purpose. Exactly, it depends on the organization and the architect in that particular project. Exactly, so it's not a hard and fast rule that you have to utilize OAuth policy only for, or JWT policy only for experience APIs. It can be utilized for the lower the downstream APIs as well, like process API or the system APIs. Okay. Now, if you see this transaction system API, it's a simple application which has some input. Actually, like whenever there is a transaction handled at the front end, it will come through experience API, and the experience API will send the same request to process API, and process API will send the request to system API. I don't want to go into the details of that exactly. A simple API is there, and we want to apply a policy on that particular API. We'll see how it will work exactly. Like we go to policies, we already aware of it, and go to add policies. And if you check for JWT, already JWT is available. Okay, JWT validation policy, select this, go to next. Here comes the important part actually. Like, see, how do you wanted to send your token exactly? Like whether you wanted to send it in some custom expression headers, or you want to send it through authentication header. It depends on your requirement. For example, like if you want to send it through custom expression, you can select this and you can send the token here, but you have to mention the proper header name. For example, like attributes.headers, and as part of my RAML, I have mentioned it as a auth token, for example. That auth token header name should match here. Then only it will be able to extract that particular token from the respective request. Otherwise, it would be difficult because you have given a different header name and you are extracting that with a different header name. Obviously, there will be a mismatch and it will not be able to extract the right token there exactly. So it's very important to mention the header. And you have the choice of selecting through authentication header. This authentication header already we know, right? We have this authorization. Here we can select the bearer token and we can send this particular maybe bearer token here, and we can send the token also. Okay, both options are available. And coming to JWT signing method. What is this signing method? I already told you, right? Exactly, like whenever we wanted to in the first step, for example, like if I go back to here, while generating the token, now authorization server has to send the JWT token, right? What it will do, it will try to, it will have a private key, and with the help of that private key, it will generate the access token, and it will generate the signature, and that signature along with the total token, it will send the access token here exactly. Okay. For that particular key, what is the algorithm? There are different kind of algorithms. If you see here, RSA algorithm is there, HMAC, ES exactly. There are different algorithms. Here, there are again symmetric and asymmetric methods of doing it. If it is symmetric, what happens? The same key which has been used for encrypting at the source end will be utilized at the target end as well to decrypt the same information. Okay, that there more risk is available. So RSA is a asymmetric method. What happens is, in this asymmetric method, private key will be utilized for generating the signature, and at the resource server will save that public key. This authorization server will share the public key to this resource server, and resource server, with the help of that public key, it will verify the signature. Okay, now once the signature is verified, obviously there is no problem, and it can validate the information properly. Okay, the proper information has been received, and then only it will pass the request to the resource processing exactly, and then it will send the response back. So it's very important which method you have to opt for. RSA is the one which is utilized widely in the market because of its it follows the asymmetric encryption method, because here private key is utilized for generating the signature, public key is utilized for validating the signature. Okay, private key will be with only authorization service provider, and public key will be shared to resource server by the authorization service provider, and it will be with resource server. Okay, to validate the signature, public key is a must. Without public key, obviously it is difficult. Why we are calling it as asymmetric? Obviously, we are using two different keys. If we use the same keys, then it is called symmetric. Here, RSA follows asymmetric method. Okay, so it's very important to decide the algorithm which has to be, but widely RSA is the one which is utilized exactly. And signing key length, what should be the 256 or 384, 512? It depends on your choice. You can select. Actually, I'm keeping it as default itself. And one more thing, JWT key origin. See, till now I haven't registered the auth server, right? Actually, like which auth server I have to utilize. Now I have decided to go for auth 0 services. Now what I have to do, I have to go there and do certain things, and then only I'll be able to configure this particular part. What is this particular part? This JWT key origin, I told you, I need a public key at the resource server level. Exactly. Now, how do I get that public key? There are two ways. One way is directly getting that public key and copying and pasting it here. Okay, once we receive it from the authorization service provider like auth 0, or the other way is this authorization service provider will expose a URL. Okay, expose a URL, and with the help of that URL, actually, like I can get the public key at respective intervals. For example, like in the first method, if I use text exactly, and after some time the authorization server has changed the public key, what happens? Again, you have to come here manually and then change that key. Otherwise, in the meantime, the request will be not validated properly, because the private key utilized for generating the token is different from the earlier one, and the same public key is not available at the resource server level end, and so there is a possibility of mismatch, and again you have to come back manually, take the public key from the authorization service provider, and then come back and manually update it here. Instead of doing that way manually, I can go for a automatic method. What is this automatic method? I can use the URL provided by the authorization server, and with the help of that URL, I can get the public key automatically. If there is a change, actually immediately it will see, we have mentioned some time here. For example, like for every 60 minutes, cache that particular public key, and once it expires, again automatically this particular URL will be invoked and get the public key again. And if there is a change in the token also, immediately it will try to get the new change in the public key also. Immediately it will invoke that URL and get the public key. So this second, I suggest to go for the second method, because it will be taken care automatically. Otherwise, whenever there is a change in the public key or the private key combination, obviously you have to come here and then again change the key. So we'll follow the JWT-KS method and configure that particular URL here. Exactly. Okay. For getting this URL, obviously we need to do some configurations at auth 0 server. We'll be taking care of that in a few minutes exactly, and then we'll come and configure that particular part, that URL in this part, and then you can go for apply the policy, and this policy will be applied and you can take care. But before that, we need to go for authorization server configuration, right? We need some details from there. So it's very important to configure the authorization server and get the details from there. Okay, see, auth 0, already I have an account, so I'm inside that. But before proceeding there, we'll just try to see how to sign up and all. Simple. Like again, we can follow up with the help of a GitHub account or Google account or Microsoft account. You can use that. Again, this is OAuth process exactly. Like it will fetch some details. Auth code credentials grant as auth code grant type will be followed if you take up this particular signing method exactly, or you can directly go with your email ID and continue. Okay. Once you continue, you have to just provide one company name. It will ask for few details immediately, and you'll be inside the application like this. Okay, you'll be landing in this particular page. Okay, there is nothing much complication there. Just log in and come inside. Now I have to create an application here. I can go to applications and create one application. Okay. See, there are options like whether it is a mobile application or web application, what kind of application you are trying to use exactly. But most of us are involved in the backend API services exactly. Most of the time we use the client credentials grant type, and almost like every time it happens to be a, most of the times, I mean to say not every time, most of the times it will be a client to the server to server or machine to machine communication kind of methods. At this point of time also, I'm developing an API and I'm applying security for that particular API, and that API will be invoked from another server. So I'm trying to go for this machine to machine application one. I'll select this. For example, like if you have the requirement of maybe web applications or mobile applications, in that instance, based on that, you have to choose this application type. Now I don't have that requirement, so I'm choosing the mission to mission application type exactly. I can name the application here. Okay, and we have to select one API here already, which will be available. See, Auth0 management API. Please select this, and then you have the provision of selecting the scopes also, permission. For example, like you can go for restricted access exactly, or if you wanted to give all the scopes here. For now, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to select all the scopes here. Okay, it means that you will be able to have the access for all the scopes exactly. Now, next one is authorize. Okay, see, your application has been created and you have certain details, like now this particular application will be able to give you the token, generate the token. Now how to generate the token, all the details are informed here exactly. Like if you see, for example, like if you wanted the curl format, you have the curl format. If you're using a Java application, and you have that Java related format exactly. But we will try to use the curl format. We'll use the postman to generate the request and then see whether we are able to get the token or not exactly. I'll copy this curl, go to postman. Sorry, import. Okay, I'll paste the curl here. Now, if you see, I have imported the curl here. If you see, there is a URL, and that URL is used for generating the token, and it is a post method. And if you see the headers as well, there are, I think, no headers. I think all these are default headers exactly. And if you see the body, I'll beautify it. See, I'm passing the, see, this is known as the registration actually. Like if once you register, obviously, for example, like Zomato has registered with Domino's authorization server, and what happens now, there will be a client ID and client secret given to Zomato from Domino's authorization server. That's what exactly what we have done now. This client ID is available and the client secret is available. Okay, it is specifically generated for Zomato by Domino's exactly. And what is the grant type? Client credentials grant type. And what is the audience? Audience is nothing but the for whom the token is getting generated exactly, for Zomato generally. Now, in this particular context, if you see, if I pass these details as JSON in the body part of this particular request, now I'll be able to generate the token. How would I do that? With the help of documentation which is provided by Auth0. If you have a different system, and you can use the different, for example, like for in PHP you wanted to implement this, you can use this. In Java you can use this. In Go language you can use this exactly. But for us now, to generate the token, we're using Postman. So I utilized the curl part and then imported it, and I'm trying to generate the token. And the information passed is client ID, client secret, and the audience and grant ID. See here, now with the help of this particular endpoint, the generate token endpoint, I am able to generate the token, and I have the token information available. And if you see, token is there, scopes, what all the scopes we have access, that scopes are available, and the information, how much time it expires, I think 86,400, and what is the token type, all this information is provided. I'll take this to a notepad. You see, access token is there. Along with access token, If you see how much time it is going to expire, it is almost like 1 day, I think so. Exactly 86,400 seconds exactly. And bearer token is the type. And if you see that scope also, it is for almost like all scopes, because I have selected all scopes there, right? So it is providing all the scopes which we have the access exactly. Now, for example, like if I take this token and I'll go to jwt.io. See, I told you it is an encoded, it is in encoded format, and it is a string of alphanumeric characters, right? If you see, this is the token. Obviously, it is in alphanumeric characters. It's a entire one, and it is separated by periods exactly. If you see here, period, there is a period, and the first part is header, right? The red part, you can see the information here. The algorithm is RS256, and the type is JWT token exactly. And you have some payload information, which is part of the main important information, and the signature part. If you come down, this is the signature part. Here also, if I drag it, scroll down, the color of the signature will be different here. This part, header, body, the header, payload, and signature are separated by dots exactly. Okay. Now, if you come here in the payload also, you have the who issued this particular token exactly. If you see, this is the token provider specifically for our application. Just now we have created one application, right? For this application, if I go to settings, our applications, I'll go. Just created this one, right? This is the application which I used. If I see here, this is a domain name. Okay, this is the domain name. And if you see dev exys30, right, us.auth0.com, this is the one which is being assigned to our application exactly. If you see those details as well, here also it will be matching. See, it means that this is the issuer, and this is the subject. Actually, subject again will be client information as well, the client ID. If you see, what is the client ID? It F5Q. F5Q. Okay, subject means for whom the token refers to, right? Here the information, if I hover it exactly, I can see it. Okay, this is for this particular client. And what is the audience exactly? For whom the token is getting generated. It is for Zomato in our context exactly. And issued it. If you see, it is available in epoch milliseconds exactly. Okay, what is the time generated? On November 9th at 11:19 a.m. and it is expiring at 11:19 10th on Sunday exactly. Okay, I told you that 86,400. That is the total life of the token exactly. We can restrict it exactly. Like I by default the setting is for 1 day. It doesn't mean that always it has to be 1 day. You can reduce the time to 1 hour or 10 minutes or one time, whatever it is based on the requirement. Normally they do it for 1 hour or 2 hours of time exactly. Okay, you can restrict that particular time for how much time the token should be available exactly. And the scopes, all the scopes are mentioned here. Along with that, what is the grant type? Client credentials. And even this is called as authorization party. Authorization party is nothing but again the client ID. Okay, this particular client ID. Okay, see, the main important information is available in the payload part, and again you have the signature at the bottom. Okay, this signature will be received by the resource server, and resource server will try to validate this particular signature, and once it is proper, then only it will process the request, otherwise it will reject it exactly. Yeah, so for any questions? Okay, fine, I'll proceed. Now I'll go back to Auth0 server. See, Auth0 server, we have created one application here, and with the help of that application, obviously we'll be able to generate the token, and we have generated a token, and we have seen the multiple parts of the token, how it looks exactly. Okay. Now I have to take JWKS URL, right? How to find that? I need to go to documentation part. Look at JSON web key sets. I think this one. Second one, JSON web key sets. Yeah, this one. Go to the documentation and search for JSON web key sets. The JWKS set, stands for JSON web key set. Exactly. Okay. This particular URL will help us to get the public key from the authorization service provider. Okay. Now I'll take this particular URL. If you go through the documentation, we'll understand that. I'll take this. I'll go to Notepad++. I'll paste it here. Okay, I think this is not the one. Locate JSON web key sets. It will have that. Okay, maybe they have given the entire URL with the domain exactly. Just give me a second. Okay, let me do one thing. I've copied it, right? I'll just go to normally we have to provide the domain name, and then they'll be giving some placeholder kind of thing, and we need to replace that placeholder with the domain name exactly. But I think they have given the domain name already. Just what we'll try to do, we'll try to validate whether the domain name is same or not. I'll go to Postman. This is the, see, what is the domain name? This is the domain name actually. This dev hyphen. I just wanted to validate whether both are same or not. Yeah, both are same. Generally what they do, they will give a placeholder like this actually, like a domain name. Now I have to replace that domain name part here. Then I'll be receiving my public key. Okay, already which is done for us exactly. Now if I go back to the, if you see here, all the keys are available, right? From this particular URL, I'm trying to get some keys. That is public key will be extracted from this particular URL, and our API manager will take that public key and it will validate the incoming JWT token. Okay, with the help of this particular key. Do you have so many information available, right? So much of information available inside this particular URL. Okay, now you got it, right? Like we will extract the public key with the help of this particular URL, and once we configure that, what it will try to do, it will try to pick up the key from this particular URL, and once it expires again, it will go back and get it automatically. If I take the public key manually and place it there, every time there is a change in the public key, obviously I need to go back manually and do it. For example, like it is not a frequent activity, but still sometimes it may happen in such a way, like for example, like after 6 months I have changed it, and people forgot to change the public key at the API manager level, and the authorization service provider is using a new private key. Now that respective public key is not configured at API manager, there will be always all the tokens will be rejected. Okay, all the requests will be rejected and no request will be performed. So it's very difficult, right? So it's always a good practice to follow this automatic process exactly. So I always suggest to go for this JWKS method. Now I have the URL. What I can do, I can go back to API manager. I can provide the JWKS URL. If you wanted to manually update the public key, you can go for this method exactly. Okay, and you can copy the public key will be provided by that authorization server team, and they will give that, and we'll just come here and paste it here. That's the process. For JWKS, I'm just giving the URL. Now for JWKS, how much time it has to cache, all those details are mentioned. I just wanted to leave them as it is exactly. I don't want to again disturb that. If you wanted to change that, you can change it. For example, like it is caching for 60 minutes. Okay. For example, like for every 60 minutes, it may get expired. Again, it will go back and get a new one exactly. And I'll keep these JWK's other parameters as it is. I'm not going to change anything. And one more thing I just wanted to do is like I just wanted to skip this particular client ID validation. What happens is now if I don't enable this, what happens is it will not validate the client ID, incoming client ID. Okay, if I skip this, it will skip the client ID validation. I'm just doing that because again you need some extra configurations for doing that, and we don't have much time, so I'm trying to exclude that particular I'm skipping the client ID validation. And then here we are aware of it, right? If you wanted to go for a restricted resources for a specific resource or specific resources, then we can go for this particular setting, right? Or if you wanted to apply the same policy for all the resources, you can select this. I am leaving that to the default configurations. Now you have configured your policy exactly. If you see what are the things we have done, we have done only simple things exactly, like just with what custom expression header we have to do, and what is the algorithm needs to be followed, how your bearer token will be passed. Okay. Okay, and the URL required for JWKs, and skipping the client validation and applying it for all the resources in that particular API. Now, if I apply the policy, it will take a little time for getting applied. Go back to runtime manager and go to logs of that particular API. It will be reflecting in some time. See, earlier I disabled the client ID enforcement policy, right? And that is reflected already here. Now, once this policy is applied, it will take a little time, maybe 30-40 seconds of time to getting it reflected. Maybe sometimes it will take a few minutes as well, 1 or 2 minutes. See, applied policy, JWD validation, exactly. I'll go to settings. I'll do Postman. Okay, no history. Okay, it's taken off actually. Okay, fine. I'll form the request. The resource is members transaction. Okay, I'll just go to design center, and I thought it will be in the history. Actually, I think it's removed. Okay, members transactions. Okay, that's done. And I'll take the sample request as well. And it's a post method. Okay, we need some headers as well for this. I'll hide the auto-generated headers. Okay. Okay, we have transaction ID, business trades, client ID secret. Okay, all these are the headers. Okay, I'll go to exchange modules. Sorry for this exactly. I thought like it will be in history. Somehow it got erased. I have the validation of 32 characters. I have to pass exactly. I'm passing the one. I'll take the sample one itself. And client ID secret. Actually, as it is a system API, I normally followed the client ID enforcement policy, but for this particular demonstration purpose, I'm trying to use the same API for JWT. Next, client secret. Even this random ones will work because we haven't restricted anything with client ID enforcement, right? Business threads, X channel. Because some of them are mandatory, so I need to pass all these things. Otherwise, it won't work. X channel. Okay, it's enum, so I need to pass the right value. Or we can take some dummy application and deploy it, and then do that. It will take for deploying on all. It will take some time, right? So other language. Okay, yeah. It consists some white space actually, like. Okay, right. I think we have the information. Why is it a bad get? And this transactions, it's working, right? And it's up and running. Okay, request itself is not coming here. Okay. It's post.
You can check the URL path, URL members transaction, that is the correct
It's
one or
correct only, actually. Members, transactions. Sometimes it gives wade errors, actually. Like, as you know, right? It will not give the actual error because it was get right. Now
right, right,
it
yeah.
generate post exactly, but still it will give you the. Yeah, I'll just otherwise I'll copy it and paste it from here. Otherwise, what we can do, we can take a new API also, but it will take some time, right? So I was
Mm.
for deploying itself, it will take some time again. Okay, now, okay, fine. What I'll try to do, just bear with me for another 5-10 minutes. Actually, like we'll finish it off. I'll go back to runtime manager. I have another application as well there, but I'm not sure about. This is a dummy API, a simple API which doesn't have any details. Okay, but the problem is I don't know the mm, endpoint. Policies demo API. I have done in a different system, I think so. Okay. In the meantime, what I'll try to do, I'll apply the policy here, and I'll open the other system and I'll take the endpoint there, and we can test it exactly like. Okay. Sorry for that. What I'll try to do, I'll go to API manager. The same thing. Policies demo app. This is a dummy API which just gives the response. That's it. Maybe hello world or something. Otherwise, API successful or something. Just a transfer message and did it. Okay. Your add policy. We have different policies applied here. For time being, I'll disable everything. It's disabled. Even this is disabled. Okay, this is disabled. I'll go to add policy. Now JWT. Maybe custom expression. Okay, headers JWT 256. Same thing. JW case. I'll go to this one and I'll check whether it's the right one or not. Yeah, it's the right one. Okay, we need to skip this client ID validation. Okay, and apply. I'll open the other laptop and take the endpoint. Now we have to go to runtime manager and see the logs, whether the policy is applied or not. Yeah, this policy is applied. Yeah, in the meantime, if we have any questions, we can take it up actually. And by the time I open this and get the endpoint, now this particular API is powered with JWT policy, validation policy. Yeah, any questions, please? I'm sorry for this actually. Like I didn't. I just have done this before.
No, no problem, Mahesh. No, no questions. I'm good.
Oh,
Yeah, no problem, Mahesh. I see there is no any questions at chat. I hope everyone is clear.
okay. Okay. Only thing is like this particular policy will eliminate the extra step. Okay, more intelligent than this OAuth 2 policy. That's the best part of this particular policy. Okay, yeah, it is the same problem for all the APIs or what actually.
Okay, so Mahesh, what is the issue?
No, no, endpoint. I don't know the
Oh,
endpoint.
okay, okay. So you forgot the endpoint.
I'm just
Okay,
checking the endpoint
mm-hmm.
because it is not a RAML based API. It
Okay,
is a dummy API.
okay. Do you have it in your studio, local studio, or what?
No, actually, I have it in a different system. I'm opening it.
Okay, okay. No problem.
It, it is in my office laptop actually. Okay,
Okay.
I demonstrated the same in office as well, and I did this application as
Yeah,
part of.
no, no problem, no problem. I think we will post this recording so that people will refer the recording. I
Yeah.
already posted the meeting URL. I mean, recording URL. Meanwhile, Mahesh, we got one question from
Yes,
Siva.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. How long was token client secret got expired?
How long?
How long was token client secret got expired? Will expire.
Client secret will not expire, right? Actually,
Yeah.
unless again the authorization service provider creates a new application, client
Mhm.
ID and client secret will remain the same. Okay,
Remain
there
the
is no
same.
provision
Yeah.
for changing it exactly.
The token will expire in a particular time period, but the client ID client secret will be stay.
No, no, actually. Token obviously depends on the time we set, maybe for 1 hour or 2 hours or
Yeah,
15 minutes,
yeah.
whatever it is exactly. Like it depends on the setting what we have. We do it at the authorization server level. Within that time frame, it will be
Mhm.
expired. And once it expires, it will not be valid, and you need to generate a new token. And again, that new token has to be passed with the actual request.
Yeah, yeah. Hope Siva got clear. If you have any questions, just unmute Siva if you have any more. Okay, and speak out.
Yeah, see it.
So now it is working. You hope you got the working endpoint.
Yeah. See, come again. Any question, Rajesh?
Yeah, there is no any question right now, so we are good.
Yeah, yeah.
You
See, now
share.
it's working, right? See, for example, like if I see, I have used this endpoint and I'm trying to hit that particular API, I'm not able to access that because I haven't passed the JWT. For example, like I have mentioned it as in headers, I'll be sending as JWT because in API Manager, we have configured how to pass our token as API Manager, right? Yeah, I'll do the rate limiting JWT edit configuration. If I go back here, I have confirmed it should be passed in the headers with this particular JWT as the key. This is the one. Now, if I send the empty value, again, it is invalid token. I'm passing the header, but invalid value. I'm sending some random value. What happens with this? Okay, invalid token. Okay, already, if you are aware, we have generated the token, right? And can we pass the same token and use it now? Or we need to generate a new token?
Yeah, old token is fine.
Yeah, because why? It is valid for 1 day. Okay, for example, like I have generated this at I think almost like 10-15 minutes back or maybe 30 minutes back, but still it is valid for another few hours, so I can use the same token. I can go here and I'll pass it here. See, now this is the message. It's a simple transform message application. One simple transform message, welcome to Mulesoft. That is the response exactly. Okay, we are able to access it. For example, like if I tamper the token also, again invalid token. It means that now what is happening? It's very simple. This particular step is getting eliminated. The API manager of our Mulesoft ecosystem is trying to getting the public key from authorization server, and then it is validating at the API manager level itself. Okay, and API manager, once it is successful, then it will be sent for the actual processing of that particular request. Otherwise, it will be rejected at the API manager level itself. For example, if I go to runtime manager logs as well, see, welcome to Mulesoft, I'm able to see. Applied policy log I am able to see. But in between, when I sent the request with no JWT header or with invalid details exactly, I'm not able to see those logs. It means that what happened at API manager level itself, it validated the incoming token and it doesn't find anything proper. So it rejected at the API manager level itself. Still our runtime manager hasn't received any logs about that exactly. Okay. Yeah. That's it about this particular session, but there are so many other things which we can play around, but because of the time permits, obviously will not be able to take up further at this point of time. If time permits, at later point of we'll arrange some other sessions as well. Yeah, thanks everyone, and if any questions, I'll take it up, otherwise we'll wind up. I don't think, right? Yeah.
Okay, so we
Okay.
don't have any questions. Okay, the problem is we crossed
Thank
the
you,
time.
Mahesh.
That is the problem.
Come
If
again.
if we have still more time, we can discuss more. But
Yeah, that's fine. That's yeah. Obviously, we need to more than 1 hour will be difficult. I always understand, like we cannot focus more than 1 hour. It's
yeah,
always good to have 1 hour session. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, no problem. If anything more you need to elaborate, Mahesh, we can schedule another call if really required.
Sure, sure. Yeah, we'll discuss. Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for spending your time on weekend, and hope you people got some information.
Yeah.
And if you people are interested in some topics as well, please inform to Rajesh or post it somewhere actually, like to us, so that we can come up with new topics as well.
And as discussed at starting, Abhishek is going to conduct a mega meetup in November 12th, I think. So please join, try to join that meetup.
Yeah, that would be really grateful. Even I have registered myself and I'll be attending that, because mostly like the coming years seems to be the combination of AI and our tool
Yeah,
exactly. Okay, so it would be really helpful. At least it will give us the importance of it, and what is the weightage and what is the direction the Mulesoft tool is heading towards exactly. So it is very good to know exactly. And if possible, we can take that and implement it in our organizations as well.
yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Yeah, have a great day.
Great.